Oilers, you got a great offense with Connor McDavid. So I have them sweeping them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you heard my point. The San Francisco Giants have 3 more in the 2010s than the Rangers have in their entire history. So, yeah.
It's hard to get back and to get back-to-back wins. And I don't see the Lightning doing it here, so I have them losing to the Hurricanes in 6.
We don't talk about the 2010s because the 2010s had the Astros. And if the Astros didn't happen, the Yankees would have won in 2017 with the Dodgers.
He was close to Frank Reich, and they want Frank Reich back, so that's what they got. It's their discount Frank Reich.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew, Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more.
Hi, this is Julie Dobbs. You're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that I'm pretty sure did not fall for some of the reports. Yeah, I know you didn't fall for the reports about Ayuk being a Steeler. We're friends with someone that posted something believing. I feel like he was believing it. He was like, this is going to happen. But this kind of goes into the question. This creates the question of Brandon Ayuk. We're not really going to talk about Brandon Ayuk. It's, to me, the dilemma teams are having. And you could say the Niners are having. Is he a wide receiver one? And now what makes a wide receiver one is the question. Because I think it is important. You need a wide receiver one. There are very few exceptions. And we're not there. None of them are in the league. There is not a quarterback in the league right now that is proven they do not need a wide receiver one to be successful.
Yeah. And it's a confusing question. It is. Some clarification. One, this isn't fantasy. In fantasy football, there are 12 wide receiver ones. That's not really what we're talking about. Two, a team doesn't have to have a wide receiver one in general. We just we say that for winning. So not every team has a wide receiver one. Some teams can have multiple wide receiver ones. And we're just discussing right now what it means to be a wide receiver one. Like, what is it? What do you have to be able to do? And how much impact does it have? Like, for a guy, we'll start with Ayuk. Ayuk, yes, he had 1,342 yards and 7 touchdowns, but he only had 75 receptions, while Christian McCaffrey had 67, George Kittle had 65, and Debo had 60. And Ayuk had 7 receiving touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had 7 receiving touchdowns. Debo had 7 receiving touchdowns. And George Kittle had 6 receiving touchdowns. So he's not dominating the receptions. He's not dominating the touchdowns. He's just dominating the yards. Is that just Kyle Shanahan getting him open? Or is it, why is he not utilized more in the red zone? It's what does it mean to be a wide receiver one? Kevin, what is your sort of definition for you? What does it mean to be a wide receiver one?
So wide receiver one is I think stats can support it. But like 1,300 yards, that's a lot of yards, but I don't really believe in it. To me, what automatically gets you in as a wide receiver one is you do not want to go, it's in your game plan of a great wide receiver one is I can't put this guy one-on-one. I have to make sure in my game plan that I'm planning to cover him. There are special coverages. We hear this with Justin Jefferson. We hear this with Travis Kelce. And we get this with other guys. Or if he's pressed, like I imagine Dez Bryant, when he's lining up in the prime Dez Bryant era, when you saw a guy was pressing him, he'd just look at Romo. And Romo, no matter what, was like, I'm going to give this to Dez. And Dez most likely catches it. It's a guy who dominates and makes it easier for your quarterback, such as teams that don't have wide receiver ones. Of course, there's a wide receiver one on the depth chart, but when you're looking at the Bears before DJ Moore, that was a team where it hurt their quarterback to have a wide receiver one. The Panthers last year,
Thielen was good.
Okay, Thielen was good.
Thielen, I don't think he was a wide receiver one, but he did have over 1,000 yards on a terrible O-line. Bryce Young wasn't playing well. Thielen was good. I don't think he's a wide receiver one. I'm not going to say he was, but I feel like when we go to those Bears teams, though, like the year before DJ Moore, when they had already gotten rid of Allen Robinson, they'd already have some guys leave. Like that was like, there's not even a wide receiver two. Like it's just a hole a massive black hole for wide receivers. While I would say at least Thielen was a bottom tier wide receiver 2 last year because he was again proficient in a bad offense with not the greatest coordinators in a bad situation. I do think what makes a wide receiver 1 is a dominance of the offensive game plan when it matters. So you don't necessarily need to get all the touches, but if there was one play, I think legitimately Ayuk is the 4th guy they go to. It's 4th and 10. I think first look is CMC. Second look is probably Kittle. And third look is Debo. And then fourth look would probably be Ayuk. Because you can do so much stuff with those other guys that you can't really do with Ayuk. Kittle can box people out in the end zone and be a good red zone presence. Debo can run and catch. CMC can run and catch. If we're talking about offensive versatility, Ayuk is definitely the least amongst that. So it kind of stymies his ability to truly be dominant in the offensive game plan. With a guy like Justin Jefferson, he is the game plan. It's almost like that's only what you can do. If you look at CD in their past 2 playoff runs, it's kind of been CD or die. Like those are the 2 options. It's either pass the ball to CD or lose the game. And that's really what it came down to. And while it doesn't necessarily make your team good in those circumstances where you're only looking at one guy, what makes a wide receiver 1 is when it comes down 3rd and 2, okay, this ball is going to him no matter what. I think of 2015 AFC Championship, and this is a Gronk example, when everyone is hurt, basically, for the Patriots. There's no one really playing well, and it's 4th and 10, and I think what was it? Not Adam Gase. What's the
Are you thinking
the offensive coordinator for the Patriots?
For the Patriots, it's got to be. Wouldn't that be McDaniel in 2015?
Yeah, it's Josh McDaniels. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels wanted to do like a run play or a screen, and you know what Brady said? Nope. Gronk run a seam route, and I'm chucking this no matter what. That's a wide receiver 1 sort of appearance in a game plan. With Kelsey, like if it was coming down to one play, this is where it's a little bit different when you have a great offensive coordinator, and that's kind of the situation right now. Ayuk's in. There's times where the play's on the line and they won't throw it to Kelsey because Andy Reid trusts himself, and I agree with Reid in a situation that he can get anyone open. And so sometimes you don't want to get Kelsey open. Sometimes you want to get somebody else open. But in the situation with like Amon-Ra or Jamar Chase, it's pretty clear who the ball is going to in these big moments. And I think is part of the stigma around a wide receiver 1 versus wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 2s, I don't think are necessarily the ones you want to go to in the moment. I think a great wide receiver 2 in his prime is like a Michael Crabtree, where that doesn't necessarily be like, I think of the 2014 NFC Championship between the 49ers and the Seahawks. Or maybe that was 2013.
Yeah, it was 2013.
Yeah,
so that's when they won. It's when they won. Yeah, that was the NFC Championship.
Well, I mean, they won. The Seahawks won both of those years.
No, but
but 2013 was against the 49ers because 2014 was against the Packers. But yeah. Crabtree's like a really good guy, but I don't know if he's necessarily the one you want to be going to in that moment. Like they didn't really have a better choice. I don't really disagree with them that was their best choice, but is that a wide receiver 1? No, not in my opinion.
Yeah, so it's tough to put it exact. There's no clear-cut answer. Because if there was a clear-cut answer, every team would have a wide receiver 1. Some teams, I think you're seeing.
I don't know if I feel that because I don't think there's 32 wide receiver 1s in football right now.
Yes, but if there was a clear-cut list, teams would be coming up with, okay, this is our wide receiver 1. It's one because, man, Niners are such a difficult example. Because who's the wide receiver 1 for the Niners? Is it Debo?
What does it mean to be a wide receiver 1?
Okay.
It's almost like it's 4 guys because there's so many guys. Again, they have about the same receptions. There's 15 receptions, 75 to 60, separating 4 guys. It's a large pool of all of them want to be wide receiver 1, or all not necessarily want to be, but can be the guy to go to in this moment. It kind of negates all of them from being that. In a case like Ayuk, yes, he has the most yards, but again, he's not the one scoring all the touchdowns. He only had 7, while the other guys, again, have 7, 7, and 6. And it kind of prevents him from being. It helps him having so many great receivers, whether it's a running back or a tight end or whatever. It helps him having so many great receivers around him, so many guys that can also help him get open. Because when you're having to worry about, you can't double Ayuk, you can't, because then who is guarding Kittle? Because you want to put safety help on Kittle, because a linebacker really can't stay with Kittle, or even a safety. It'd be tough to guard Kittle, so you have to give help there. Debo and CMC are so shifty. You can't put a linebacker around CMC, because usually a linebacker is guarding both a tight end and a running back. Or if the safety has the tight end, again, you're having size problems with Kittle. And then Debo, again, in big moments again in the Super Bowl, they were going to Debo over Ayuk until Debo got hurt. So it is a lot of kind of asking, how much does the rest of the team affect the skill, or not the skill, but the production of a player like Ayuk? Because Ayuk was built on last year. His yards were built on the fact that you can't double him. So when you can't double a guy, it's hard to call him a wide receiver 1. When a guy like Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, these guys are getting open no matter what. No matter if they have safety help, whether they are getting double teamed, whether what, they can make a play. Not every time, but they can always make a play. And that kind of is what separates Brandon Ayuk from one of those guys for me.
Yeah, I would say wide receiver 1 just eases everyone's job. If you're a great coordinator, it just makes your job even easier. To me, a great wide receiver 1 makes it easier for a wide receiver 2, and that's what's a great wide receiver 2 takes advantage of the pressure focused on. I would say Michael Gallup was a great wide receiver 2 with Amari Cooper. So you got to have a wide receiver 1 if you want to be competitive. The next thing is, it's tough with teams that have great weapons. It's easy to see when you're like, this team doesn't have a wide receiver 1, and then you can be like, okay, with Jamar Chase, it's the wide receiver 1. The Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, same thing with the Vikings. They just take so much pressure and they make it easier for other teams. The problem is, I think you could maybe say this with when the Bills had such great Gabe Davis, and I think we're about to see that with the Jaguars. Also, I would say Calvin Ridley. It's been debated, is he a wide receiver 1? Because he played great, but the key is being a great player, and it's finding that. I think it can be different, such as Tyreek Hill, his first few years, and still now, it's his speed that makes him a great wide receiver 1. Sometimes it's the physical dominance of a player. I think Calvin Johnson, he was a guy, they still have some speed, but it was just their body. They could go up, get the ball. I see that with Rob Gronkowski. They use their strength. Maybe Dez is also a good example. Then there's
I feel
also
like a guy like those guys that don't necessarily have any of that and can still be wide receiver 1. Like Cooper Kupp, I think it's a great example. Cooper Kupp's not fast. He's just a great route runner. Same thing with Devontae Adams. While those guys can get up, Devontae's only 6'1". It's not like he's 6'5" like Calvin Johnson. He's not the one you necessarily throwing the ball up to just because he's taller than everyone. And Cooper Kupp, for example, he's only 6'2". Like, these guys they're tall, sure, like for the average person, but for the NFL wide receiver, not necessarily. He's not Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson height. They're just great route runners.
Yes, and that's another thing, is one guy can be a great route runner that doesn't have it. And some can change. Like, I think of Larry Fitzgerald. He was a guy that relied on his physical aspects, and then he went into more of a route running guy. So it's really tough for me to list the specifics. But I think the question that Brandon Ayuk brings up is, for a team not having a wide receiver 1, it's, to me, it is the problem is he exactly what they need? For such as the Patriots, they do not have a wide receiver 1. Niners don't really believe he's a wide receiver 1, or they feel like, okay, we can replace him. So that's my problem, or my question. And we won't know till he plays in a different team.
Yeah, that's a good point. And It's also weird, like guys like Wes Welker, I think were wide receiver ones. I mean, he almost had a 1,610 touchdown year. He had 1,569 and 9 touchdowns in a year. The year after that, he had 1,350 yards. So it's kind of anyone could be a wide receiver one if you're good enough. It just kind of depends on what the scheme looks like. During those years where the Patriots made the Super Bowl against the Giants in 2012 or 2011, that's a Wes Welker led team. He is the wide receiver one, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is the only guy. But in a Brandon Ayuk case, I have to see him somewhere else for me to determine whether or not he's a wide receiver one. I think that could be true of a lot of guys.
Yes, I think a question was like, was Michael Gallup a wide receiver one before the injury? And now, of course, he's retired, and you can look back on that. So it's hard to describe, but I think it's the guy that fills those moments, a guy that can be argued as a top 10 wide receiver and makes your offense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we will be doing a rankings video, not necessarily rankings, but a list of wide receiver ones in our opinion. We've already done our top 10 wide receivers. If you want to see that, you can check our page to see that. But we will do a wide receiver one video because I am interested to see how many you think are wide receiver ones. I definitely think it's less than 32. I don't think there's one per team. I think it's probably around the 20 mark. Again, this isn't regarding fantasy. This is just in my head thinking about it quickly. But I'd be interested to see how many you have.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun list because I think I was thinking of one team that has multiple wide receiver ones, but we'll get to that. There used to be a lot more, but now it's kind of dwindled. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we appreciate all the feedback. And we have made videos about someone's feedback. So thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.